longer going to be yours. We're the slimy English, the dirty British, where the sun never set on the British Empire. Oh, and His Majesty said, His Majesty said, His Majesty that doesn't piss or shit, that's well above everybody else, said, we're stealing this land from you.
That's effectively true. It's effective. What you're saying is historical fact, and that began the theft of the land, which culminated in the 1947-1948 time period, when the Jewish or the Zionist militias engaged in thousands and thousands of acts of violence and forced 750,000 Palestinians from their homes, from their villages, and from their ancient land at the force of a gun. And then Harry Truman and the UN and the international community recognized the result of that and called it the State of Israel.
Yep.
So, look, the problem here is America's blind support for Israeli governments, notwithstanding what they have done to America and notwithstanding the negative effect of that support. Shortly before he left for Israel, President Biden floated with Democratic leadership a bill which would appropriate $100 billion to be split between Ukraine and Israel. This is absolutely insane. We have given Ukraine $113 billion already. They're within weeks of being crushed. We give Israel $4 billion a year already. Their army is mainly reservists who are not equipped and not trained to engage in guerrilla warfare. This kind of involvement will end up with American Marines getting slaughtered in the streets of Gaza. And that's not going to give Joe a second term. That will end his first term pretty quickly.
You know, you go on in writing your article. You know, this is a great article. Everybody has to read it. You said, instead of negotiating or even spending for peace, the U.S. has encouraged, and you were saying, and paid for wars. Instead of using its enormous economic might to facilitate prosperity. Again, you said it before, the U.S. is quoting U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, quote, projected power on both fronts, meaning in the Middle East and Ukraine. Power, it has, as you said, it has projected and caused the death and destruction, just as the United States did with its, quote, power in Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq. And here we go again.
Right.
I want to make this clear to everybody. We have been forecasting this was going to happen. One of the top trends for 2023, it's there for everybody that can read. This came out in January 3rd of this year. Top trend 2023, Middle East meltdown. We warned that this was going to happen, and it was going to escalate with the new Netanyahu government. Then, week after week, month after month, since this government came into place, we've been writing articles of what was going on and the destruction that they were causing and all the killings. These are just some of the articles from just since the Netanyahu government came in late December of last year. So this is from June 20th, Trends Journal. We remind Trends Journal subscribers that the 1967 Six-Day War, Israel invaded and seized Palestinian territories of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, Gaza Strip, and the Syrian Golan Heights. You mentioned how many they expelled when they came in 1947, 48. How many did you say?
750,000.
They expelled over 300,000 Palestinians from their homes while gaining stolen territory that was 3.5 times its original size. To date, some 670,000 Israelis live in the occupied West Bank. Israeli settlements are illegal under international law. They violate Article 49 of the Fourth Geneva Convention of 1949, which states, quote, "The occupying power shall not deport or transfer parts of its own civilian population into the territory it occupies." And then we go on to say, Israel is about to approve 4,560 new housing units in parts of the West Bank. Again, we've been going on with this week after week, month after month. We are, and again, you got that little clown boy, Lindsey Graham. He goes on to say that he declared the Israeli war, quote, "a religious war," and urged Israeli military to attack Gaza, quote, "and do whatever the hell you have to do to level the place."
That's a war crime.
And it's a religious war. Hey, why the hell am I involved in your religious war? Why am I involved in why are you stealing my money to kill people in a religious war? And I only have to believe in your religion? That's right. If you don't believe in my religion, you should go to hell, because that's the word he uses. He said, whatever the hell you can do to level the place. 2.3 million civilians, half of them children, locked up in a concentration camp for 17 years, and he says, hell, level them, destroy them.
Right. Well, that's not untypical of the neocon attitude, although he's a prince of the neocons. It's not untypical of their attitude. The president is a little bit more moderate, but he's certainly closer to them than he is to us.
Well, Biden said it's a U.S. obligation, an obligation to be involved in wars in Israel and Ukraine.
Correct. He did say that.
It's not my obligation.
No, he can't. It's indefensible, that statement. And I think most people know that, except the warmongers who are looking for every opportunity to shed somebody else's blood. And Lindsey Graham, as I said, is the prince among them.
And a little boy that couldn't fight his way out of a paper bag, like little Marco Rubio or Chucky Schumer, all these little warmongers. Anyway, there's an article in Paul Craig Roberts. People go look, read. This guy's great, what he wrote. And it's called Rushing into Catastrophe. And his last graph, he says, you tell me, where are the leaders to prevent a catastrophe? And I wrote back to him. We're going to publish his article in next week's Trends Journal. And I said to him, leaders? I said, I was not put on earth to be led. As I see it, you tell me where we, the people, are to prevent this catastrophe. Where are we, the people? Where are the people?
Well, the people are more interested in Taylor Swift and her NFL boyfriend and what stadium they're visiting on his bye week. That sounds absurd, but it's true. Than they are with extracting American tax dollars to kill people.
And people have no idea, by the way. All they do is follow the mainstream media. They're still believing the line that Hamas, again, totally opposed to what they did, disgusting. Totally understand why it happened. Again, if you were locked up for 17 years and things, and again, we're writing about it week after week about how this was escalating they're not talking about, by the way, about the 70 people that have already been killed in the West Bank since this has happened. So again, you have to understand why this is going on and what's next and what to do. And people aren't doing anything. You and I are. I launched Occupy Peace. I put my money where my heart and mind are. And you've spoken at it many, many times, and you fight for peace. So we're asking everybody out there to do something to bring peace on earth, goodwill to all, and donate to Occupy Peace. Because if we don't have peace, we're going to have hell on earth. So that's the way I see it.
Hopefully this message will spread. You and I do our best. Our colleagues, Scott Ritter, Colonel McGregor and company do their best as well.
Oh, I lost my train of thought about how they said that in teaching the average person about to love Israel and to hate everybody else, with the lie that they had that Hamas cut off the heads of all these 50 children.
And there's no evidence for that whatsoever. Joe Biden claimed he saw a picture of it. Of course, no such picture existed because it didn't happen. And then the White House took back what old Joe said. Even the Israelis have acknowledged they have no evidence of it.
Yeah, but the people bought the lie. So the people have no idea what's going on.
Correct.
And by the way,
for the propagandists for the Israeli government, whether on that side of the Atlantic or on this side, perpetrated this falsehood, this outrageous, disgusting falsehood.
And they did the same thing when Bush Sr. invaded Kuwait. They were saying that the Iraqi soldiers were going into hospitals, throwing babies out of incubators and stabbing them?
Yes, I remember those allegations, not one of which could be supported.
And you know who the one was saying it in front of Congress? The woman who said she was an actress. And her father was a Kuwaiti ambassador.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, that was what was going on. But the people have no idea. They're swallowing the crap spewing out of the mouth of the prostitutes, the media whores who get paid to put out by their corporate pimps and their government whoremasters. Look what's going on. You go to Fox, you go to the New York Post. It's love Israel, hate everybody else.
Correct.
And this was an article last week from CNN. Israel begins, quote, a complete siege of Gaza. Oh, great. It's fine. You can do anything you want. So what do you suggest we do, Judge?
Just what you and I are doing. Pounding away at the true facts and exposing the harm to American freedom of continued involvement in these wars. Government loves war. It enriches its military-industrial complex. It cows the public. It lets them raise taxes. It lets them suppress freedom. Remember the Patriot Act, which we needed to stop terrorism right after 9/11? It is still with us.
Yep. Yeah. Orwell made up that name, the Patriot Act. And everybody go and watch the judges. The people you have on there and what you're doing, it's phenomenal. Judging freedom. And you just did one with Scott Ritter where he says he'll never support Israel again. This guy's been in Israel. This guy's been all over the world on both sides. You know, this is a real man, and he knows what the deal is. And again, if you haven't been there on the other side, you don't know what it is. And he's been on the other side, knows what it is. So go to Judging Freedom if you're really for freedom. Thanks.